How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. I wanted to come with a short video today because there are 5 things from NAT that are making me pretty bullish on the stock right now. And there's only one thing that I can really think of, maybe 2 that could cause NAT to go down or to cause people not to be interested in NAT stock or Nordic American tanker stock. But some of these 5 line items that make me bullish on NAT are new. And I just found them out just over the last few days, so I wanted to come with a video with this. And I also wanted to say thank you guys for all the new subscribers, and all the old subscribers. We're nearing 600. I think just on Friday or Thursday I was talking about 500. So being able to grow like this is awesome to see, being able to add to the community. I want to continue to do videos on all different types of stocks and different investments and just personal finance in general. But a lot of people are liking these NAT stock videos. So I think last Thursday I had a video and I put it up, and it's by far my best viewed video ever. So a lot of people are interested. So I want to continue to provide value in that realm of NAT stock. But before we get started, I will say you should definitely watch the full video because I hit on all the things that make me bullish, but there are 1 or 2 things that do make me a little bit worried about NAT, and I want you to hear those too because I think you need to take them in balance. And you should know I'm not a financial advisor, I'm not a stock analyst in my day job, but this is something that I have a passion for and something that I think I can provide some value for you. So for all the new subscribers too, if you don't know me, I am a personal banker. I own a couple companies, so I do a lot of investing videos, a lot of videos about earning more money. So if you don't mind hitting subscribe and hitting the like button, that really helps out the channel, and then you can continue to get these types of videos in the future. So I want to walk through some of the line items I just found out. If you don't know about NAT, this is going to be a little bit of a breakdown on some reasons that people like NAT a lot and some different points of view that I think even some investors don't really realize that help them for NAT. So really the only thing that people can dislike about NAT, I think, is either 1, they lost money on it already because they bought in when it was higher, or 2, that they think they're overvalued. So NAT is trading at about $4.50. It was down a lot more before this. It was down in the high $1 range before all this stuff with the Rona. And, I can understand why people would think that they're overvalued. However, they do have a good book value per share. They have high earnings. They have really good dividends. Compared to other stocks like DHT and STNG, those are some other oil tanker stocks that I have in my portfolio also. And I'm kind of diversified with those 3 tanker stocks. I could see how they think that they're worth value. NAT is right around a forward PE of between 5 and 6 usually. And DHT and STNG are in the 2 to 3 range, so they're a lot lower. But NAT also is a stock that if the oil tanker market goes up, NAT is going to go up because they're the one that everyone looks at. They're the one that everyone knows. A lot of the time, people don't want to even look further into the oil tanker market. They just hear that they're a good place to invest, and they just throw some money at NAT. Now, I did find something interesting on the NAT website. So if you've been watching these videos, you know that there is a tanker market report that they give out every week on their website. This week's tanker rates, so this is just for single voyages, are higher than last week's for the most part. So the index, so everything weighted out equally, is above last week by a significant amount, by about 15 to 20%. And what I also realized is the Suezmax, which is the tanker that NAT has, is up slightly from last week too. So I want to take a look at every week before this. So I looked through some of my old videos and I found out the spot tanker rates for the last 5 weeks. And what I found was there's been an uptick over just the last week. This is the first uptick in Suezmax. So I plotted that out and I'll show you here in a second. But this is pretty significant because we've seen it go down and go down and go down. So people were getting worried that they were going to earn less and less. But now it's an uptick. There's also the fact that a lot of the voyages for NAT and some of these other tankers, they're not single voyages. They've already been locked in for a long contract, 6 months, 3 months, 5 months, all kinds of different contracts for really high rates from even several months ago. And when we got the last earnings report, that was for Q1, but really the spot tanker rates and the really high rates for the 6 months contracts and all those contracts were in April. So we haven't seen that yet, but we'll go over here to the chart, and I created a little Excel graph. So as you can see here, Supramax goes down, goes down, goes down, goes down, goes up. First time it goes up since early May. The index goes down, goes down, goes down, comes up. First time since early May that's gone up. And we can see it here on the graphs. This is the Supramax, and this is just the index tanker rates. And I love seeing this uptick. This is the uptick that gets you excited. Even if it doesn't start an uptrend, if it just levels off, they're going to make lots of money. When you look at how they are doing compared to last year, and they had a good year last year, so they made a good amount of money last year. It was their best year in 3 or 4 years, and they're still working at half of what they are making now. And this is just for single voyages. This is not for the contracts. So that is really significant. There's also some other information too. One of our subscribers here helped me find a website that shows short interest for a stock. So as you can see here, the short interest is going down in NAT. Now I don't know what prior counts as, so share short prior versus share short like now. I don't know if it's like the last week versus today, but as you can see, the shares are becoming less and less short, which means people are more bullish on the stock essentially. And that is a good sign going forward. If you want to check this out, this is pretty nice. They show like the percentage from the 200-day moving average and some other stuff. This might help you if you want to look at the short interest or look at some of these other metrics here. Now, another interesting item, and I brought this up before, if we look at the declaration date for NAT, they declared this Q1 dividend on 3/24. They declared their Q4 from last year, 2019, dividend just about a month prior. And then 2 months later, they declare 5/20 their next dividend. So 2/18 dividend, 3/24 dividend, 5/20 dividend. So in 3 months, they declared 3/4 of dividends. And this is kind of weird to see this Q2 dividend being declared when they're about halfway through the quarter, right? So they declared a 20-cent dividend when they're only halfway through the quarter. So in my mind, I think that they probably already have that cash. They've been earning so much and are guaranteed for so much that they're not worried about this Q2 dividend. And either they're going to purchase back shares or they're just going to hold on to a lot more cash and be able to pay out a higher dividend in the future. And I think possibly too, the stock was starting to go down, so maybe they want to bump it up by declaring the next dividend. And I think a lot of people were expecting more than 20 cents, but I think they'll be able to see a nice dividend in Q3 also. So those are just some of the line items I wanted to go over. We already know they're making insane amounts of money. If we look at their key data here and go down to their net income, so far, trailing 12 months, they've made $24 million. So this is the first time they've been in the positive since 2015. This is trailing 12 months again, so we don't know about Q2, we don't know about Q3, we don't know about Q4, but they are slated to do really well in those quarters too. And, it's the first positive earnings per share in a while. And this is a stock that has been up around 15 to 16 back in 2015 when they were making similar numbers. As we look at their book value is about $4.10. So it's not that much more than the stock is actually trading for. It's only about 50 cents more. So if you're looking at buying, this is a pretty good time to buy, I think. I don't think you're really missing out on much. You missed out on the 14-cent ex-dividend date, but then you'll get the next 20-cent one, and you'll probably get even more after that. I still plan on holding for 6 months to a year, maybe even a little bit longer. Now, another really important thing is just thinking here for a second. Q2 is going to be by far the worst quarter that we've seen in the stock market for earnings in a long time. So all these companies have been shut down, mostly from like the last couple weeks in March, all of April, part of May, and then they're starting to reopen now for the general market. So we're going to see horrible Q2 numbers. We're going to see companies losing money, maybe people going out of business if the stimulus stops, or just reissuing a lot of debt. We've already seen some of that already with certain companies issuing 10% bonds and different types of debt there. And when all this comes out, so once everyone starts announcing their Q2 losses, we're going to have NAT declaring and announcing their Q2 earnings. So they are going to have their best quarter possibly in the last 5 years, right at the same time that all these other companies are bleeding money. So if you're an investor, especially maybe a new investor that hears about the oil tanker stocks and NAT doing really well, having some of their best earnings in 5 years, and all your other companies are bleeding money, I think you're going to seriously look at NAT. The intelligent investor might think, okay, well, where's it going in the future? And take a look at that, and maybe they decide to invest, maybe they don't. But for a lot of the unexperienced investors, they might just hear that the company is going up and try to jump on the bandwagon there. You see that a lot in the stock market, especially with retail investors and new retail investors. So I think that's something to take account. Now, I will say there is one thing that kind of worries me a little bit, and that's if they keep on decreasing production in oil. And this article just came out today. The update, OPEC, Russia discuss extending oil cuts for 1 to 2 months. So Russia and Saudi Arabia are going to have talks about decreasing production in oil. And it basically says that they're trying to move closer on extending a current oil output compromise. And, they did declare in April that they're going to decrease by about 10% of their output. And I think that could be an issue going forward. If they continue to decrease the output, then oil tanker stocks are probably going to do worse because they have less need to supply oil somewhere. That is really where they make their money, is when there's an overproduction or oversupply of oil. They have to store it somewhere, and these oil tankers have done quite well. However, I will say at the bottom of this article, there is an interesting paragraph, the last one. A reduced production by OPEC combined with a record decline in output from non-members such as the United States and Canada have helped to lift oil prices towards $35 per barrel, which is bad for NAT. But they remain at only half the level of the start of the year. So even with US and Canada having record low numbers, recently at least, and even with the oil decline in their cuts to oil production, they still remain only at half the level of the start of the year. So if the United States and Canada or OPEC starts raising production, that's going to decrease the value of oil even more. With all these cuts going on, the price of oil is still very low. So I think that that's something to take into consideration. If the economies don't open up as fast as they think, or if any of these players decides, okay, I need to jack up production because our country is bleeding money, our companies are bleeding money, we need some output even if we sell it and we don't make as much as we were going to, I'd rather take the money now, then we're going to see the price go down most likely, and then these tanker stocks are going to do quite well because there's going to be more that needs to be stored. So that is something that you should also look at too. So these are the reasons that I'm very bullish on NAT. I think they'll do quite well in the future. And I think you should do all your own research on this. Don't take my word for any of this. I mean, I'm not lying to you. This is what I'm reading. But, do your own research. You are investing your own money. But let me know what you guys think below. Is NAT still a win? Are you sick of hearing about this stock? Do you want to hear about something else? Please, again, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed. It helps out the channel. And if you've seen multiple of these NAT videos, you might want to subscribe because I'm going to make more of them in the future. I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.